garbage pickup, we got the same problem. And the biggest problem we're running into, we've had it 2 or 3 weeks too, is your garbage can have these traffic through these streets, and a lot of people park in them, and it's kind of dangerous. 2 or 3 weeks now. Funny how the truck.
The new need to is that they're going to have to we've had to date is our front door. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that later.
That's all I got, Ken.
Next is a report from the department directors. Does anyone on the board have a question for any of the department heads?
Got one for Chris Earl, police department.
Chief Earl.
I'd like you to explain it to us and the citizens about the 5 cameras that we just put up, please.
The flock cameras, some of you probably have seen them in entrances to some subdivisions. Without giving away too much with cameras, we're going to relocate some of them as soon as we get permission from the state. They'll be on the highway, some of them. We're going to put them in different places. They're tag readers. Somebody has a stolen car, wanted party. It goes directly to the officer in the car, so it's like lifetime. Since we put it up within an hour, they got a stolen vehicle on Chickasaw and 64. So, yeah, so they work great. It's a good tool. We got to keep up with technology. It's also a network with all the other departments that we're hooking into.
And another thing that I'd like to mention is that with those 5 cameras, is that about 12.5
Yes, sir.
on an annual basis?
It is annual. Yeah.
And so you're looking at having somebody on patrol at a location for $12,500 a year. The board needs to take into consideration that every neighborhood in and it's you know what happened. I've seen them do it, but when they've got their plumbing pipes done, they'll stick stuff in the top to keep things, trash and stuff getting in it. And maybe that's something we could do to require maybe a cap on those that would prevent them from putting rags and shirts and things like that in the system. Because it's I don't know. I mean, do you know?
That's a fairly common thing, unfortunately. Tape measures, I've seen bricks. And when it's a very, it's a plethora of causes. Sometimes subs get mad at the governor for whatever reason, and we suffer. So,
but
that's something we can work with.
if we required caps on that, I mean, that would prevent that. They wouldn't be sticking stuff in it and stuff wouldn't be in it, right?
It would prevent that. I'm kind of like Harvey. I think you'd probably still see people putting stuff down.
Require them to put caps on it. They would have to take the cap off to put something.
Yeah.
In it.
But is it code to do that?
All over the carburetor or something, you know.
System to keep people off.
Participated in, especially the Fayette County Chamber, they did a lot of work, putting that together and helping it run smooth.
Can I ask you?
6,
True.
we had already been in communication. So
Next time? I think that's better. Okay? So now we have something to look forward to, and then complain later. Okay?
To have the snowflakes installed?
No,
Employees.
Yes, because if I'm not mistaken, Chickasaw won't do that. We would have to hire an electrician to do that to their standards. But I don't believe they install the electrical outlets.
I'll tell you something that amazes me. I've seen a town that would, it'd be Public Works, wouldn't it?
I've seen it done both ways, but you're correct.
You've seen it under Park and Rec before? Mr. Johnson,
Gentlemen, I have several points I'd like to bring up.
do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Yes.
Second? All in favor? Would anybody like to speak? No one's moving, so we'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion to hear ordinance 2123?
Second.
So we don't really have to second it. So 2123, that's 2123.
Mr. Miller, I guess you've went over this again since we've had this rewrote 2 or 3.
I'm looking at 1, 2, 3.
Yes, sir, it's on in your file, probably about 4 back. It'll just be a single sheet like this.
It's on the podium also, sir. It's on the podium also.
Thank you.
So basically, the language that's changing in this is the exemptions. And it says, except to the extent necessary for public safety of this chapter, the terms of this chapter should not apply to persons selling at wholesale to dealers, nor the newsboys, nor the bona fide merchants who merely deliver goods in the regular course of business, nor to the person selling agricultural products who in fact themselves produce the products being sold, nor to minor school children who are selling merchandise or soliciting solely to benefit the school. Course in 9-101 defining peddlers, solicitors, and transit vendors shall not apply for events organized or officially endorsed by the town as public events when those events are limited calendar. Like the firefighters spoke about in
I'll make a motion we pass 21-123.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor of ordinance 2123, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next thing, we have a motion to open a public hearing revising the sanitary sewer tap fee for new development pursuant to City Code 18-215, subsection 4. Have a motion to open the public hearing? Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 2124, revising the sanitary sewer tap fee for new development pursuant to City Code? No movement? We'll close the public. Motion by Mr. Cates, second. Second by Mr. Hahn. Any discussion? To pass, do I have a second? Second. Have a second. All in favor of passing 2124, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimously. It's the web. But I don't think Ms. Harris is aware, and I don't think anybody, but some. Now, I. So, just want to speak on that?
You know what I'm asking?
The website difficult to navigate.
Okay,
And a lot of times, our meeting agendas are in the middle under another heading. But most of the calls I've had, specifically to the meeting agendas, they're on there, that people have not been able to find them. Now, other events, I don't know about. But I can tell you without hesitation, the meeting agenda for this meeting was posted last Thursday night.
and that's fair. But as you say, a lot of people called me and I was like, why did I get 4 calls about what's on the agenda? Well, go look at the website. Well, we can't find it on there. I don't know if somebody doesn't know how to use a computer, doesn't know how to navigate, but can we make that a little more user-friendly?
As you know, several of us talked to some vendors at the Tennessee Municipal League Conference about updating, revising our website. I have met with one of them. He's gonna come back with a proposal after the holidays. Our website has not been updated, I think, since it was put online, and I think anybody would tell you it can be difficult at times to use. But, I've got to say, I think staff is getting the agenda on.
Next item I put on solid waste, and, Mr. Johnson, you said you had something that's gonna go out?
Yes, I'd like to take a few minutes, if I may, and certainly respond to any questions you have. There will be a mass mailing going out late tomorrow to every resident. Take it away. Our new vendor, Team Waste, beginning on Monday afternoon, December 27th, will begin delivering new carts to every address in the city. On that cart will be instructions about collection times, things like that. Now, it won't be if they're changing your route, that's gonna come later. But everyone should get a new cart the week of the 27th. One contingency we're already planning for, we know a lot of people will be out of town that week. And we will work with the individual residents, call town hall and give us your address, and we'll get your cart emptied and picked up. There's gonna be some transition issues, but we'll just have to deal with that on an individual basis. The other thing I wanna emphasize, and this goes back to cost, we have many residents in this town that will put additional waste beside their rollout cart. They'll put their own can beside the rollout cart. You cannot do that. And beginning with a new vendor, they will not pick that up. All waste has to be inside the 96-gallon rollout cart. And we will have to enforce that.
Is that different than the contract we have right now?
Right now, even though the contract reads that way, the current provider has been extremely flexible in picking up extra waste.
But we didn't change, the point I'm trying to make is we didn't change the wording of it. Maybe that's why it's taking them more time to run these routes and they're running behind. But
If any resident wants a call city. To be correct on that, I believe right now we have 120. Yeah. So, I mean, we have 4,000 residential cans, but, to the mayor's chairman's point, we probably have several hundred people that should have a second can that don't now. The other thing that this vendor's going to be tighter on, and we need to be tighter on, is yard waste and debris. We will still pick that up, but we got some things that we need to work out there as well. But if you have questions after you get the mailer, please call, email us. That's the last thing, and this is, we have recycling here in Oakland. Now, you have to take it to the drop-off location behind Green Can, near Public Works, but cardboard, glass, plastics, aluminum, can be recycled. And, you know, I would argue it saves everyone money when you do that, and it's the right thing to do. So, please use this as an opportunity to maybe look at recycling more.
Are they gonna have the same size cans as we got now?
Yes, sir. And they're new, these will be new cans.
Anything else on solid waste?
No, sir.
So you're saying that the city employees are gonna pick up yard waste?
No.
I didn't say that, sir.
Well,
We got-
explain it better,
We got,
because,
we got to determine, we have money in the budget to buy a knuckle boom truck.
okay,
And at that point, we'll start picking up some debris and all, the larger yard waste. I don't think we'll be picking up glass clippings, no. We are going to work with a new provider to determine a cost and manpower allocation all to do some of that, and we'll make a presentation to the board.
because there's a lot of people, got a lot of leaves, bags sitting right next to their trash cans right now.
May I editorialize for a moment? When you put leaves and grass clippings in plastic bags, that has to go to a landfill. We're paying 40-some odd dollars a ton to dispose of that. Whereas if grass clippings and leaves were loose, they can go to money when grass clippings are put in plastic bags.
So why don't we just restrict it, so if they're on there, they're gonna stay in the bag, and,
Many cities do that.
because I know a lot of people who throw that, yard waste inside those trash cans,
That happens too.
and,
That happens too.
okay.
It's also a fire hazard when you put grass in
But
trash.
but if it's put in the can and goes on that truck,
It
Right.
goes to the-
it don't cost us any extra money, does it?
The weight does.
Yes,
Take a lot of
The
weight.
landfill cost.
Okay. Ma'am, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just kind of, with recycling, you mentioned, first of all, I had no idea that we had any place to take recycling to here in town, so that's great to hear. I wondered if you guys were gonna be looking into the opportunity to have our recycling maybe picked up, like, I know it would cost more money, but
Yeah, what?
I would pay extra money on my bill to have it pick up my recycling too. And I feel like being able to add that to our bills if we wanted them to do that too.
If I may, I can answer that in two ways. First, as you indicated, it would be a significant collection services this fall. Probably many of you have read, the recycling market is very poor right now. Aluminum is about the only thing that has been really successful. And the vendors just really weren't interested right now. Now, there's been times in the past when recycling was very economically. Now, it just hasn't been, and it would cost more from the discussion.
That's the thing, a lot of, not just Oakland, a lot of their stuff is, and the vendors, they were and, check our capacity on, are they do it?
I can give some personal experience. I know there. I don't know the schedule they do for, achieving the.
Christmas.
Yeah, that's a good example. It'll be full, but I don't know what their schedule. Let me be clear about something. The Fayette County Center provides. They operate,
So it's not,
and I
maybe
There's a lot of people that uses that,
Water bills.
Put it on the water bill.
Yeah, that'd be the least expensive place, put it on everybody's sewer bill or water bill.
I think a lot of people would use that. Might be inconvenient to load it up in your car, but.
I can contact the county and see if they have the capability to expand if the need arises.
All righty. Brings us to, new business, ordinance's first reading. Ordinance 2125, it's gonna be attached with a letter to us from, Jay Johnson. And the letter reads, currently, the town of Oakland levies a water tap fee of $2,000 per residence. This fee is inspection fee, having fee shall be set by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. It's in 2005. As the Board of Mayor and Aldermen now considers substantial renovate and expand capacity of the town's water treatment plant and water distribution system, I would recommend the tap fee be revised and increased. This additional fee should be restricted to designated account towards the water system improvements, including debt service for these improvements. For discussion, I would recommend the new tap fee be $2,500, of which $500 is dedicated to the new account. Second, I would propose this to be per single-family residential tap. Any tap for multifamily unit or commercial development would be based on meter size for the single-family unit, SB, whatever that means. And this is from Mr. Johnson. Can I get a motion to hear this?
motion here, 21, 125.
All righty. Any discussion?
Second.
All right.
Now, would this affect, this would not affect people who have already pulled permits currently to do it?
That's correct. The ordinance as written is effective February 1st, 2022.
So up until that date,
And it only affects new construction,
only new construction.
only new construction.
I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to pass it.
I have a motion by Mr. Cates. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Duncan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Next ordinance, 21-6, a repeal a portion of ordinance 1708 regarding sanitary sewer fee adjustments during summer months, establishing a public hearing date of January 20th, 2022. The letter reads, at your meeting on November 18th, a brief discussion on the town's current procedure to waive the sewage usage fee to a flat billing of $18 a month for a 4-month period, June, July, August, and September. This policy was set forth by ordinance 1708, adopted September 21st, 2017. I think I'm actually the one that brought this up. I had talked to Mr. Ellis about ways that we could get some funds to pay for our upgraded sewer system, and he said this was low-hanging fruit, that a lot of places did not give this break. So basically what this means, if you have a pool or you water your yard a lot, you paid a flat fee. So during that month, you really give an advantage to people that do those two things. And then maybe somebody likes to wash their house off a lot in November, December, but this just certainly makes it fair for everybody to remove this. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but this is, we charge that flat fee. Can anybody tell me, based on the treated water, what they think this is costing everyone?
A estimate is around $14,000 or $15,000 a month.
So 60,000.
If I may, in your packet, we surveyed about a dozen cities in West Tennessee two, Humboldt does give a break, but they cap it at $50. Savannah gives a break, but they cap it at an average of the winter months. So, our $18, first off, would appear to be low compared to the two that have something, and then the others that don't.
What is, did you check and see what their sewer price was per month?
No, I did not, no.
I think we need to table, I'd like to table this till next month to get some more information on,
Can I ask a question before you do that?
yeah.
Who, got Atoka, Bronzeville, Bells, Bolivar, who got all these cities and asked them if they do it?
I asked the ladies utility billing office to survey West Tennessee.
Okay, so how many cities in Fayette County did you call?
I don't know, I didn't know any.
On here,
I represent all of them other than Galloway and Piperton, and they don't.
they don't do it either.
Summerville doesn't do it, Rossville doesn't do it.
And so Oakland's the only one that does it.
In Fayette County, although I don't know about Piperton and Galloway. I represent Bolivar, they don't do it.
People wonder why
Grand Junction, they
everybody's
don't do
moving
it.
here.
We may have called others, these are ones that she reached somebody that could answer the questions, I don't know.
Well, the good news is we've got time.
Yes, sir.
That's the good news. We have, what, till
I got
April?
a couple of questions on that, I'd like to just, maybe we need a workshop.
Oh,
Can we table it?
I mean, if he has a question, I mean, you could, we have a motion on the table, but, I mean, if you had a question, I mean, you could ask a question now.
I'd just like to know what would be the difference, and it's gonna cost our citizens one way or the other. What would be the best route to go? To raise a sewer fee a month a little bit and hold off of this, or go this way and leave it the way it is? Cause we need figures both ways to see what's the best and cheapest way for our citizens to go. We know we're gonna have to go one way or the other.
Yeah, that's a tough question.
Well, if they're not,
So I'd like to just know, do you raise the fee $2 or $3 dollars a month and leave it as it is? Do you change this or what? We need to figure this both ways. We're spending taxpayers' money on this, and I like to go the cheapest, best route.
Well, I mean, you're not spending their money. You're actually
we're
collecting
trying to
everybody's money
save it.
that don't get to break.
Right.
So I personally have a pool, okay? So I benefit from this when I fill my pool up, because I don't have to pay but a flat sewage fee on that, instead of that, how many ever gallons it is, 40,000 gallons. So, and I'll tell you this, I'll vote to remove it, even though it's gonna adversely affect me, because I feel like it's the only fair way to do it. And that's, you're not gonna get charged for anything that you don't use. And when we're sitting here looking at this, a third of the year, 4 months out of 12, 33% of the time, we're giving this break. And here we are in a crisis about how we're gonna treat our wastewater, and we're not getting all those funds that's necessary to pay for them.
yeah,
But
you know,
again, it's, the motion's on the table to table. Is there a second?
motion to table?
Yes.
Yes, second.
It's seconded by Mr. Fisher. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We'll table this. Next on the agenda is ordinance 21-27, 6 acres, located on Old Highway 196, commonly known as Fayette Packing Company.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
could the city attorney address this, please?
Absolutely. Mr. Minor?
I would, ask that, the board, remove this from tonight's consideration and bump it over into January. As it turns out, the packing company actually owns about 6 different parcels, and their attorney, when I spoke to him, earlier this week, just has not, they're seeking the annexation just of the primary, packing house site or all of the properties that they own, all of them being contiguous to one another, by the way. And
Entertain a motion to table.
Motion to table due to council's advice.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ordinance 2127 tabled, unanimous. Next on the agenda, new business, resolution 21-126, adopting the Fayette County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Mr. Johnson.
Over the last 6-8 months, Chief Walls and I have participated in a committee of officials from throughout Fayette County where they went through a process with the state of Tennessee to update, as you said, the hazard mitigation plan for Fayette County, all its municipalities. I emailed you the complete 2 weeks ago. Without our participation in this plan, this agreement, for FEMA and TEMA-related funding of disasters. Chief?
Yes, sir. Chief Walls.
Yes, sir.
You have 30 seconds.
Tell us about the meetings you attended.
Basically what this does, FEMA came in, then TEMA took over and explained the floodplains and future disasters that could happen in the county. And left over from building this plan, we have this and that very narrow plan. Basically what this says is we're FEMA and TEMA to come in a disaster and give us relief funds and send help. Without this, we're forfeiting that
Right.
help.
Mr. Minor, have the other cities in the county adopted this plan?
They have, some will adopt it theirs, Monday night, Ross will adopt theirs Tuesday night.
Nobody Wednesday?
I think it's church night.
Oh, okay.
Motion to, set this plan, adopt the Fayette County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
I have a motion to adopt
Resolution.
Resolution
21-127.
21-126, adopting the Fayette County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Fisher. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Do I have a motion to hear 21-128, initial resolution authorizing the incurrence of indebtedness by the town of Oakland, Tennessee, not to exceed $6 million by the execution with the Public Building Authority of the City of Clarksville, Tennessee, of a loan agreement and provide funding for certain public works projects and to fund the incidental and necessary expenses related thereto. All right, so we hear resolution.
If we don't do this, we'll have to reject all the bids received. To go back to the earlier discussion, and we're gonna talk about that again in a minute. There's a half cent. It is bringing in approximately $875,000, $900,000 a year. As our sales tax grows, it will grow. This debt service, as you have it on the packet in front of you, for this million, we have locked in the interest rate at 2.41%. So the debt service in total, principal and interest, would be approximately $360,000 a year. So it would take 1/3 to 40% of our annual half-cent sales tax for this phase of the park.
So less than half.
Yes, this is a 20-year bond. Now, if we went to a 15-year bond, it would raise the annual interest rate, but I mean, you've got some flexibility there. The other point I would make, this initial resolution is not to exceed $6 million. Once we know the numbers on the bid, it could be adjusted down, and we actually borrow less than $6 million. We can't go up, but we could borrow less. That's where we are.
This is for dirt work for phase 1A.
One and two, it would do the dirt work.
Right.
For all 5 soccer fields and all 7 baseball fields, softball It does not do any improvements. This is dirt work on, this also grades all the parking area and the new entrance road.
Increase that the citizens of this town voted for.
Yes.
Well, if it's set aside,
So I got a question for you. So we pay this years, pay it back. Roughly, okay? When's the next borrow money? How long is this gonna take before we come back and say, "I need another bid?
Yeah.
We get 60, that adds 350,000, 700. Next,
The phase one.
in 2 years,
Yes,
we would have paid 700,000 out of the 6 million.
yes, sir.
Then you're gonna come to us, say, the next year after that, and say, I need another,
I don't want to go that far.
okay, then 8 million.
No, no,
Oh.
what, the board at that point in time will have to make a decision. Do we do 5 soccer fields? Do we do 4 soccer fields? Do we,
Cost us some,
but I think it's way too premature, at least from my perspective, to put a number on it. Soccer fields, if we're gonna do 4 soccer fields, those are decisions you'll have to make, I would think, with public input over the next year.
2 Octobers ago, we had a meeting where we put these little stickers on what we would like in the park,
Yes.
okay? And we were given a figure of $10 million 2 years ago. What's this figure now? About 35 million, correct? 2 years ago, now we're at 35 million.
I don't know where the $10 million figure, I wasn't here, I have no idea where it came from.
It came out of their mouths, because we all heard it, and we all went, oh, that's pretty cool, we could probably afford that. Now we're up to, just what was it? 2 weeks ago, they came in here and gave us a little spiel. Now we're up to 35, 40 million. It's not gonna get any cheaper,
It could.
okay? Anything could happen,
I got a,
But you're asking a lot for this.
I got a comment.
No, I'm not asking for this. This is the request that the board has made that we prepare this.
So,
If this city wants a new park and new park facilities, these are the kind of things we're gonna have to do. If that's not a priority, then we don't do this.
Well, like Ken said, there's wants and needs.
Well,
We need roads, we need treatment facility, we need structure for the town. We have 4 parks that you take that money and put it where we need the help.
Well,
Need,
can't do that.
that part's a
Mayor,
want.
I want to address that for a minute.
Yes, sir.
Something we have failed to do, and I'll include we in that. You have a park development fee that's levied on new construction. There's a couple $100,000 in that account that this city has never utilized. That is the money that we should be looking at to redevelop our current parks.
And it's never been proposed.
No.
That's not our fault, is it?
well, I do have a comment to this.
If it is, tell us, because I'll propose it tomorrow.
I think where there was, where I'll say where there was a breakdown, the fee was levied, there was never a plan on how to implement it.
The fee was levied of a half cent
Can-
to
can I-
the parks.
No, I'm talking about the ordinance.
Okay,
Can I stop and take
Okay.
take a brief stop right here? I something on this mitigation plan, and it's asking for a roll call vote on that.
yep.
Vote on the mitigation plan for the county. Mr. Cates,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Yay.
Year, y'all, this sales tax was it was scary done. So I been here by rooftops. The low, but except what it's allotted for. And I know that's different, and it's hard for me as a business person or even a household to think that I can't spend part of my money on something in my household. But that's how government is different. Government is different than your personal house.
The interest rate is amazingly low, I would venture to say. I've never borrowed that kind of money personally, but pretty good, interest rate. I've lived in Oakland for 20 years. I remember Oakland 20 years ago. Right? 5,000 people, 6,000 people. It's double, tripled in size. Okay? So I the 20-year loan because the town's gonna grow. It grows every year. Now to Mr. Sutton's point of rooftops versus businesses, and there's some business owners here tonight. You know, Oakland really doesn't have a whole lot of entertainment to offer folks. We have some great establishments, we have some great restaurants, we have some, but a park would incorporate these folks to stay in Oakland and stay local.
Number one, we should $1 million ago.
If I address that point, because
20 year, in 3 years, actually is another 20 years. This park is not gonna be paid for, say, 3 years times, or, I'm sorry, 300,000 times 20 years. You got a lot of time. You're asking a lot of money just to borrow. You're putting the town in debt. $6 million. We haven't been in debt.
no, we have, and you're right.
And now you wanna put us in debt $6 million and continue that on.
Please stop saying you.
Not you,
As
but the town.
manager,
You're
I'm
asking
following-
us.
I'm following the directives that I've received from this board. We're in a position now, and what we could do, sir, I'm gonna really go out on a limb here. Cancel the bid. And just pay. If you want to do something like that, because as the vice mayor said, exactly correct, we're bringing in, probably in lean years, low years, probably bringing in $750,000. And good years, as we continue to grow, probably over $1 million. The other thing is to reevaluate the whole park. Do we want 139 acres? If the cost is that big of a concern, do we need 139 acres? But it would be very feasible within some limitations. Cancel this project and come back and just do a phase 1A. I mean, I don't think it will be cost efficient on construction. I also think it will probably increase our costs down the line because we may have to redo some things or directed the engineers to do. We're doing the grading and drainage work. Also,
Work's being done. If you did want to downsize afterwards, now you've got the dirt work done on your park. Now you've created excess property that's on 64 highway. That's got road frontage for several hundred feet, probably
That's
a
correct.
couple of thousand.
that's correct.
So now, if you do that and move the building, if you were gonna have it back to, let's say down there where one of the soccer fields are. Now, if you changed your plans, at least you would have the property in shape to do something with it. And then if you revise the park, then at least you would have the dirt work done already on that, how many acres is that, 40, 50?
The backside is approximately 60.
But we already know that what you see in the yellow right there is excess property.
Yes.
If you move the building back north, you could create more road frontage property, which is very valuable property right there on 64 Highway. And I mean, when you go to look at it later on, you'll see a proposal for us buying land for $40,000 an acre. I mean, we bought this land right. We bought it right. So, but, I mean, I don't have a vote tonight, guys, so I need to entertain a motion on
Mr. Mayor,
yes, sir.
may I, detail just so it takes 45 to 60 days to do a general obligation bond. On a city, very specific as we they started voting on January 11th. Not have, if we, and I to pay for the contract. The bids will run out before we can borrow the money again. So we'll have to check and you know, side is they may be $400 from here. The timing here is such that if we don't start the process to borrow the money, we won't have the money to sign a contract to do the dirt work.
I got a question. If we go ahead and pass this tonight, then open the bids, if it's not what we like, are we still obligated on that contract, or is it?
No, sir. The final vote, well, two things. If you don't like the bids we receive, we reject them in January. At that same meeting, then you would vote not to issue the bond. This starts the process. This doesn't commit the town to borrowing the money. This begins the procedure to borrow, but it could be stopped at your January meeting.
Okay, I'd make a motion, we pass it.
I have a motion to pass.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Vaughn. All in favor say aye. Next is resolution 129, authorizing submittal of proposed town charter amendments to the Tennessee General Assembly. Do I have a motion to hear?
So moved.
All right, any discussion? Mr. Johnson?
I don't have the resolution, in my paperwork, but I drafted the resolution, so, I'm asking that we allow,
It's not in that one.
I think it was, sections 17.
I don't see it.
You want to go for the next item and come back?
We can end the meeting. Do I have a motion to
Make a mo-
Enforcement South is here this evening.
Well, and I think I read this right, but two members of the board, the mayor and Mr. Cates, were y'all present during this? in the planning meeting?
I don't remember, and I was present, because I had never missed one.
And I attached that as part of the minutes. You have my staff report attached with it as well, and then
Basically, we approved it with some exceptions for them, and the thing they're appealing about is the color of the sign?
that is correct, that is correct. They were allowed, they were permitted to sign with certain conditions. We did not.
Color and thickness, right?
That is correct. Thickness and basically compatibility with the other two signs.
Where it would look three-dimensional,
That is correct.
exactly.
We appoint people to be on boards, and we're supposed to take their recommendations seriously. So when somebody does not saying that out of just any, but a lot of times we just want to fix that. Their recommendation is why is theirs?
It's been changed over since Stockdale came in. They've been Olympic stock, they've been there.
About Mr. Frank.
Understand.
They change them for one, so now the board that hadn't been changing them.
Yeah,
So if they're theirs, let this lady alter hers.
That is ultimately a decision for you tonight. The design review committee, which is made up of the members of the
Right.
planning commission, they have the design review guidelines. And the guidelines show a preference towards solid white color,
It should.
solid white colors. We do have a spectrum of allowable colors for it, and red and blue are one of them, as long as they stay within the general, I guess you could call it, standard. I based my decision on the design review guidelines. I provided staff report, which you have in front of you.
Right.
Which the design review committee evaluated and ultimately recommended and made a decision to follow along with staff's recommendations to have it as solid white lettering. The reason that I chose that is because I'm looking at a building in front of me. Everybody except Stockdale's is
that night.
I had already told him what my before the meeting. And he came to the meeting, asked for consideration. As you know, the ERC met, debated the issue, and ultimately made a decision for solid white lettering. That's pretty consistent.
I remember that.
T-Mobile just recently got theirs. They requested their trademark colors as well, and they ultimately decided on solid white as well. So it's not something that is a unique decision that they have made, and they're leaning more towards that